Good evening and welcome. I'm your host, Liz Wheeler, and this is Tipping Point. Tonight, a second woman, a longtime staffer, accuses Congressman John Conyers of sexual harassment. And still, Democrats, including Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, will not call for Conyers to resign. In just moments, Amber Athey weighs in. Then a bombshell revelation from the former Intelligence Community Inspector General. When he warned Congress about Hillary Clinton sending and receiving classified information on her private email server, Democrats threatened to fire him. J.D. Gordon is here for that shortly. Plus, President Trump tweets videos from a far-right anti-Muslim group in Britain. The media goes wild condemning what they claim is Islamophobia. But why is nobody commenting on the content of the videos themselves? We'll show you exactly what's true and what's not in those videos later, because the mainstream media is going to pretend they are all false, and that is not true. But before we begin, thanks for being here tonight, because our nation is at a tipping point. If we don't turn America towards liberty, then we risk losing the America we know forever. So let's get started. Our first tipping point tonight, a second woman, a longtime staffer, accuses Congressman John Conyers of sexual harassment. And still, Democrats, including Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, will not call for Conyers to resign. This is the second woman to come forward against Conyers. Remember, the first woman was a staffer of Conyers who claimed she was fired because she refused to perform sexual favors Conyers demanded from her. Conyers denies these allegations, but should we believe him? No, I don't believe him, because he paid off the woman for her silence, which of course is what all innocent men do. This second woman claims Conyers was sexually inappropriate with her on 3 separate occasions. She worked for the congressman for 8 years, but did not quit because she said nobody takes claims of sexual harassment seriously. And she was right, until now. The only people left not taking claims of sexual harassment and sexual assault seriously are the same people who claim to champion women. I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi, who instead of condemning Conyers for his actions and calling for him to resign, as he should do, she defended him and blamed the woman. It will take your breath away. Watch.
You said there's now a zero tolerance.
Yes.
John Conyers, what does that mean for him right now?
Let's say
in or out?
We are strengthened by due process. Just because someone is accused, and was it one accusation? Is it 2? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country. He has done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which the right wing is now quoting me as praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that. But the fact is, as John reviews his case, which he knows, which I don't, I believe he will do. I believe that he will.
How is it that
excuse me, may I finish my sentence?
Sure.
That he will do the right thing.
And is the right thing what? Resign?
He will do the right thing in terms of what he knows about his situation, that he's entitled to due process, but women are entitled to due process as well.
Joining me now from the Daily Caller, Amber Athey. Amber, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Liz.
Amber, I wonder if the Minority Leader, Nancy Pelosi, even prepared for this interview, because it seems in her very first sentence she contradicts herself. I don't understand how you can support a policy of zero tolerance and refuse and pivot around asking for Conyers to resign, which he certainly should do.
Yes, the accusations against Conyers are very disturbing. On top of the settlement that he reached with taxpayer money, mind you, with one former staffer, was pretty awful. But then on top of that, there were also 2 on-the-record staffers who named themselves and came out and said that he paraded around his office in his underwear, and one of them said that he inappropriately touched her on several occasions. And as you noted, the Democratic response has been less than stellar to this. These are the same people who came out against Donald Trump and Roy Moore, as I think was a fair thing for them to do. But now you have Nancy Pelosi calling him an icon and talking about due process. And then she kind of backtracked on her comments on Monday and said that she now apparently believes the women, but she's still calling for this case to go through the Ethics Committee, which, as a number of staffers that I've talked to have noted, the Ethics Committee is basically just a pony show. I mean, basically, this committee exists to make it look like Congress is handling these claims seriously, and they do multiple years of investigations, but they never really result in anything. So far, the only real Democrat calling for Conyers' resignation is Democrat Kathleen Rice from New York, who notably is also not a Nancy Pelosi supporter.
No, she's not. And I mean, first of all, the ethics committee is a joke, with all due respect to these people that sit on it. They take years and years before they resolve anything. Like you said, John Conyers is about 1,000 years old. He doesn't have that amount of time. This is just a convenient way for Nancy Pelosi to brush this under the rug instead of coming out and saying, yes, he should resign. As minority leader of the Democratic Party, we do not want him to be a part of our party anymore. That's all she needs to say here, but she doesn't. She says, zero tolerance. She says, I believe the women. Well, prove it. If you do believe the women, and if you have zero tolerance, then call for him to resign. There was a report today. This is following the second woman coming out and detailing exactly what he did to her. There was a report today from a staffer who said there was rarely a staffer that ever worked for John Conyers who did not see the congressman in his underwear. Not only is that disgusting, but that's extremely troubling. This was a very well-known facet of working for John Conyers, and no one thought to report this for years and years.
And these are the same exact people who claim to champion women, who claim to be feminist icons. We saw the same exact thing happen with Harvey Weinstein, with NBC's Mark Halperin, and then just today with the Today Show's Matt Lauer, the same people who are on their moral high horse and lecture to the rest of America about moral values and accepting politicians who have defunct character traits are the ones who are actually engaging in this behavior themselves. The other hilarious thing I found about Nancy Pelosi's comments was that she called for due process. Let's remember that this is the same exact woman who on college campuses pushes for Title IX restrictions that basically make college administrators the judge, executioner, and jury in those cases that railroads men who are many times falsely accused on campus and forces them out of their rights to a good education. So for her to talk about due process is so hypocritical, it's unreal.
Right. Plus, it's not necessarily a matter of due process unless a crime was committed. You can be a person of bad character, and the voters cannot want you to represent them because you were a person of bad character without it being a crime in our criminal justice system. They're using that as a cop-out to act like everyone deserves their day in court. Well, sometimes it's the court of public opinion that matters. And when you're talking about people that you've cast a ballot for to represent you, it's the court of public opinion that matters most in these cases. The other part that bothers me is the press covering this up. And I want to show this video. This is Cokie Roberts. She says that every member of the press corps in Congress knew about Conyers' behavior. Take a listen to her.
The fact that people are willing to be public can change things. I mean, we all talked about for years.
A little bit at a time.
Right, don't get in the elevator with him, and every female in the press corps knew that, right? Don't get in the elevator with him. Now people are saying it out loud. And I think that does make it.
That is a change.
And Amber, this is my question. This is a member of the press corps saying that other members of the press corps knew not to get in an elevator with John Conyers. They were members of the press. Why didn't they publish this stuff?
Right. It's really crazy. And there's definitely a question as to how much exactly they knew, because in some cases, you hear a rumor passing in the hallways and you can't really report on that. But these were senior members of the press who had heard about these stories for years, likely had talked to women who had experienced harassment by Conyers, and apparently didn't think it was important enough to dig further or even just tell the public about it. And you have to wonder, Cokie Roberts is basically a veteran journalist. She's been in the profession for years and years. So if anyone is in the position to stand on behalf of these women who have been harassed by congressmen, it's her, because she has basically the least amount to fear in terms of retribution from these powerful men. It's her responsibility and other powerful women's responsibility to stand with victims and give them the voice that they need in order to come out against these sexual predators. And you have to wonder, if this were a Republican, would she have been silent all these years? Would people have stood idly by as a so-called champion of women rode in elevators with women and harassed them? I highly doubt it.
Well, I would certainly hope not, because it shouldn't be a bipartisan issue. It shouldn't be an issue of what party you belong to, whether or not you're exposed. If you're behaving badly, if you're sexually abusing women, you should be exposed for that. And like I said, it doesn't make any difference what the party is. This is the strange part of this to me. I can understand. I mean, I consider most Democrats in Congress to be morally bankrupt. And if it came down to a vote for them, I would almost expect them to make the bad choice and cover it up. But these two cases, John Conyers and then Senator Al Franken, these are representatives who would be replaced by Democrats. They're both. Conyers is from a very safe Democratic district, and Franken could be replaced by the Democratic governor appointing another Democrat in the state of Michigan. They wouldn't lose the seat and they wouldn't lose the vote. So I don't even understand the mindset of people like Nancy Pelosi, who call Conyers an icon, claim he's protecting women, claim she has zero tolerance. What's the purpose of covering for these people?
It's a great point. They have no political ramifications if they ask these people to resign, because they would 99% be replaced by Democrats. So for her to sit here and defend them, it's almost like it's because not only are they Democrats and they're a member of her party, but it's like they're her personal friends. So she's covering up for her buddies in Congress because she's too weak-minded to do the right thing. And these are the same exact people who called for Roy Moore, who I personally think the allegations against him are disgusting, of course. They called for him to step out of the race. But then they're calling for due process and investigations for Conyers, who has a settlement, and Al Franken, who has photo evidence of what he was doing, which is a lot more than we have in the case of Roy Moore. So their hypocrisy is on full display here. They've lost any moral high ground that they have to call out sexual harassment. And I think it's really bad for everyone, because not only are these people being allowed to stay in Congress, but it's telling every member of a political party that it's okay to let go of your morals and let go of your character in order to support people who have the same political views as you.
Right. Basically, principles don't matter as long as you stay in line with the party vote. It's disgusting. And there are women here who are being victimized, who are being hurt, who are being damaged, all because of people like Nancy Pelosi who cover up for predators like John Conyers and Al Franken. Makes you wonder if this isn't ingrained in their culture so much that it's a knee-jerk reaction for them to defend these people, because I don't see any other reason why in these particular cases why Democrats would cover up. Amber, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We have J.D. Gordon here next with a bombshell revelation from the former Intelligence Community Inspector General. When he warned Congress about Hillary Clinton sending and receiving classified information on her private email server, Democrats threatened to fire him. That's next.